Happy Friday to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. And if you're watching, chances are you're done with work, so congratulations, you made it to the weekend. And if you have any outdoor plans this weekend, you're probably curious what the weather is going to be like. Let's bring in Joe, but Joe, I feel like I can kind of guess what the weather is going to be like this weekend compared to the last couple. If this trend continues, which I think you mentioned it is, Saturday will be sunny, decent. Sunday, cloudy and rainy.
You're so good.
Coming for your job. Watch out.
Here, I'll give you the clicker and you can take over. It's all the power right there. You're right. And that has been the trend, hasn't it?
Yes.
It's like Saturdays have been dry the last, 3 weeks, I think?
I think so.
And then, as you pointed out, some rain on Sunday. Yep, that's what we're expecting coming up here. It's pretty quiet out there this evening. Still kind of cloudy. I think a little fog tonight. We'll look at that. And there's another chance for some rain. I know we're talking a little bit on Sunday, but even beyond that too, Maya, and we'll take a look at when we expect that a little later.
Sounds good. And let's go to our top story of the day. That takes us to Antrim County tonight. So this morning, the Bel Air Public Library Board held a public hearing. It was a very crowded public hearing, as you can see. So they heard a request to remove a specific book from the library that has LGBTQ theme. So the book in question is Volume 5 of Heartstopper. That's a graphic novel series about two teenage boys who meet and they fall in love. Now, something worth noting is those who submitted the request claimed they don't want to actually remove the book from the library, but really they just want all sexually explicit materials made inaccessible to children. So let's take a listen to what some community members said at the public hearing this morning.
I think that homosexual relationships between teenage boys is not the norm in our culture. And I'd ask you, would you put in the library a similar graphic novel about a boy and a girl who are engaged in a sexual relationship, presented as a positive thing and a norm, which I think it isn't? I think most parents wouldn't want that.
It is commonly understood that the young adult genre features allusions, innuendos, references to, or discussions of intimacy in relationships without having graphic depiction. This is realistic as the young adult range, often considered to be mid-late teens to early mid-20s, is the time in someone's life when they begin to engage with relationships and other aspects of life that the Heartstopper series tackles, such as bullying, mental health struggles, and discovering oneself.
Now, the board president of the library says a smaller committee will discuss this specific request, and the board will likely decide the book's fate in December. Now, over the past couple of years, this has kind of become a trend, not just here in Michigan, but across the entire country. We've heard a lot of stories about parents or members of the community requesting to remove a book from a library or to ban a book, and it seems like this sort of idea has been skyrocketing, and every public library in Michigan has their own policy and procedure that they follow when it comes to addressing those requests they do get from community members. But there's a new law that's been proposed in Lansing that would make a statewide uniform set of rules while at the same time protecting the First Amendment constitutional rights of readers. So here's Mark Schlett with that full story.
First Amendment is a fundamental right to educate ourselves, to learn about history, to support our interests, and to see windows into worlds that we might not have access to.
And for readers like Traverse Area District Library Director Michelle Howard, those windows into worlds can often be accessed by turning pages. Books are knowledge to her, so all the books here are pretty important.
Pursuit of knowledge is just so fundamental to our American society that librarians take it really seriously when someone asks to remove a book.
While it doesn't happen often here that someone asks that something they find offensive, problematic, or immoral gets pulled from the shelves, it is becoming more common across the state.
Across the board, maybe, 300 challenges nationally for the last 15 or 20 years. And all of a sudden in 2021, it skyrocketed to over almost 2,000 books that were being challenged. Last year, it was 4,000, almost 5,000 books that are being challenged.
Michigan has 397 public library systems, and each of them has a policy and procedure for handling those challenges. In Traverse City,
the process is a person fills out the paperwork that attests that they've read the whole a book or watch the whole movie, and then they have to explain what they feel is the reason it should be removed.
Here, a committee is then formed which reviews the book and makes a recommendation, which can be appealed to the library board. But every public library can have their own procedures, different rules, policies, and processes at different locations, and that creates some issues.
The best course of action for us was to draft some statewide legislation.
This may be the best course of action. 2 bills proposed in Lansing that would create a standard statewide process for challenging a book's presence at your local public library.
By incorporating that and coming up with some standardized, library policy, we're able to, one, protect a citizen's right to receive and express diverse opinions and ideas without censorship, and two, to put to rest some of the baseless challenges that we're seeing.
The legislation would require a complainant to have read the book, file paperwork explaining their concerns, and have to live near the library where they're making that request. The decision would still be made locally, just as they are now at the Traverse City Library. If passed into law, little would change with their procedures. But another potential and perhaps more substantial change statewide is that this would protect books from being banned for the same reason that people can't be discriminated against.
Religion, race, color, national origin, age, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, height, weight, familial status, or marital status.
Libraries say they're open to concerns being expressed about books and often consider whether a title is in the right section. They say they're sensitive to the community they serve, but at the same time stress that not every book may be of interest or importance to everyone, but it might be to someone.
I think there's this idea that if a library has a book that it endorses, that line of thinking. And so when you talk about having a wide range of materials, it doesn't mean that the library endorses the ideas in that book, but it does mean that someone wants to read about it. And sometimes people would like to read things that they disagree with. And so we provide that opportunity to explore ideas safely in a format that has been vetted, edited, and then they can come to their own conclusions.
And let's take a look at our question of the day related to this story. Who should have the final say when it comes to what books are on the shelves at public libraries? Scan that QR code on your screen right now. That'll take you to our website where you can vote. The options are libraries, the public, or government. And really, it's just at this point, it's kind of a back and forth between 2 options. So 57% of people voted libraries, 43% voted the public, and 0% has said government. So we will continue to keep an eye on our question of the day live results, and we'll also take a look at some of the comments on our Facebook page relating to that a little later. But since it's a Friday, we want to end the first block of our show with some nice, heartwarming stories. So last night during our 11 o'clock newscast, we shared this story with you about a Traverse City teenager who was honored with the Governor's Youth Volunteer of the Year award. So on your screen now, you are seeing 14-year-old Piper Schumer. She is a volunteer with Northwest Michigan Toys for Tots, but she's also the founder of Piper's Project This Girl Can. So 6 years ago, these pictures are, you can tell she's a lot younger then. She's not 14 in these pictures. This was 6 years ago. She started collecting cans to deposit them, and she took that money that she raised for the cans to buy bikes and helmets for kids in need. And just last year, she donated her 1,000th bike. So pretty amazing story. And Piper is actually joining us live now for much more on her experience. So hi, Piper. Thank you so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Hi, thank you.
I'm really excited to talk to you about this. And we'll talk about this picture and your experience meeting the governor and lieutenant governor in a few minutes. But let's kind of take a step back. So you are 14 now, but you started your project 6 years ago. So you were 8 years old when you started this?
Yeah, I was 8. And my first donation was when I was 9. So it was like in the middle between my birthdays.
That's amazing. And what a great idea for anyone, but especially someone so young. So what inspired you to want to start this project?
So when I was younger, I know people have probably heard this story millions of times, but when I was younger, I had a non-functioning colon, and biking was like the only thing that I could do like activity wise to like stay in shape, and I really fell in love with the sport. And then after one of the bike races, Iceman, I went around and I picked up all of like the beer bottles and the cans in the celebration area, and I had like $90 I think when I turned them in. And then I wanted to buy myself like a new riding helmet, but my parents told me and like showed me that mine would still work for another year, and that I could wait a little bit longer and I could use this money for the benefit of other kids. And so we bought 2 bikes and then donated those 2 bikes to Bikes for Tykes that year.
And now, 6 years later, do you know how many bikes you have bought and donated so far?
We have over 1,000. I think it's just like 2 or 3 bikes over 1,000, but I donated my 1,000th bike last year, and it was the special needs adaptive bike.
That is so cool. Well, great job with everything you are doing. It's very inspiring for anyone to be doing this, but especially a young person in the community. So when you were announced, or when you were made aware that you were going to be receiving the Governor's Youth Volunteer of the Year award, what was your reaction?
I didn't really have a reaction, and like until last night when we were backstage watching the videos that they recorded of us, just because it like hadn't clicked in my brain that I like received an award from the state and from the governor. But when I got told, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, it's just another award that I got. And then last night I was like, we were backstage with all the other like youth honorees, and we were all like hyping each other up and just getting really excited to go out on stage and get our awards. And all the kids were like, it's just clicking in my brain that we got this award. And I was like, yeah, I just realized that the whole state of Michigan is going to see that I got this award. And I don't know, I just like, now I'm very excited that I got it and very honored to have it.
And we've been showing this picture of you with Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. What was it like getting to meet them?
It was really cool. It was really quick, like meet and greet, just because Governor Whitmer had other stuff to do.
Busy woman.
Yeah, but they're just really nice people, and the environment, like with everyone else there, and it was just such a positive place to be in, and I really liked being able to meet them and take pictures with them and just be able to talk to them for a little bit before they had to go.
And it's just crazy because every time we see any sort of picture or video with Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, we're always like, wow, he's so tall. What was it like seeing how tall he was in person?
I've stood next to some tall people. I've stood next to some pretty tall people. And I had heels on too. And I looked up and I'm like looking up really high. I'm like, this guy's really super tall. And then, I don't know. I just didn't really know how to like make eye contact with him because he's so up there and I'm not up there.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. So Piper, we are coming up upon the holiday season. So are you continuing this year to collect more cans and buy more bikes for kids?
Yeah, we actually have our last couple loads of cans, like big loads of cans before the winter that we're actually going to do tomorrow. And then we're going to start buying bikes for the bike build on the 30th. Yep. And so I think I'm going to try to do like 100 of like the normal bikes that for like from like 8 years old to like 14, just like the normal size bikes. And then last year I really liked getting the special needs adaptive bike, and I kind of want to do something like that again for like one specific person and being able to like meet them. I just liked that experience, and I feel like that was more beneficial for my project and for the family has just used that bike so much, and I'm like being able to meet them and know who they are. I just really like that, and I think I want to do it again.
That is awesome. So if people want to help in your effort to purchase bikes, how can they help?
So I have on my Facebook page, there's a PayPal link there if they have money they want to donate. but I also have my 2 drop bins at Timber Ridge still for cans.
All right.
And people can also message me on Facebook if they have any more questions about that stuff.
Perfect. Well, Piper, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for everything you're doing for our community. We are certainly so proud of you, and just keep up the great work. You are very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll bring back in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. He'll have more details on what you can expect this weekend weather-wise. Stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's turn things over to Joe. So we talked about this weekend, what we can expect weather-wise, but let's go into a little more detail, shall we, Joe?
Sure, why not? We're at that point of the show, right?
Yes.
Take a look at weather. It was pretty cloudy today once again, on our Friday here. This was a view earlier over Mayfield. That's just north of Kingsley, Maya. And if you look there, I believe that was the Boardman River there. Then you got the misty sky conditions.
Cool.
Yeah, it seems like we always go up on a nice sunny day.
Yeah.
Nice to get a little bit of the mist and, you get into the clouds a little bit there. But that's nice. You can see the river. Again, I believe that's the Boardman River there meandering through that area on its way out eventually to Grand Traverse Bay. But that was a look earlier today. Temperatures this evening are in the 40s around northern Michigan, and that's kind of where they should be. The exception, though, is Bel Air. You're at 39, but everybody else right now tucked comfortably into the 40s. Here's our forecast now for the opening day of Firearm Deer, or not the opening day, that was today. The opening weekend day of Firearm Deer season tomorrow. 32 to 44. There could be some early day fog if you're heading into the woods tomorrow, and then mid 40s to around 50 is what we're expecting for the afternoon and evening. It will remain dry. We're going to go with a mostly cloudy sky. The other key thing, of course, if you're heading out hunting, is the wind direction. That'll be out of the south tomorrow, 5 to 15 miles per hour. A little more wind in the afternoon west of I-75. But we're getting a little break in the weather. High pressure sits south of Chicago tonight, kind of giving us a little break. The next system, you see that low way out there north of Denver? That's the system that will come in later in the weekend. So we're looking at a quiet night tonight. It's, a little cloud cover here and there, mostly cloudy tomorrow with dry weather. And then here we are. I'm going to stop this Sunday morning. So that's around 8 a.m. Sunday, not tomorrow, but Sunday. And you can see a little band of rain. So I do think some showers, maybe even into Sunday afternoon. A few of these will kind of hang around. That's our next chance for a little bit of rain. But even then, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot. So let's take a look at the weekend. Here's what we're expecting for tomorrow. Upper 40s, mid 50s, partly to mostly cloudy, dry weather with south wind. And then Sunday, warmer, but it will be cloudy. Passing late rain showers on Sunday, highs 52 to 60. Sunday afternoon will be breezy with a gusty southwest wind. And there's our extended forecast. Sunshine Monday, that's our best chance for some sun. And then another system is going to kind of roll in here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It looks like some rain, Maya, later next week. Maybe a couple snowflakes mixing in next Friday.
Well, I think we're due for some snow.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, thanks, Joe. We are going to take another quick break, but coming up in just a few minutes, sports director Harrison Beebe will have a look at week 3 of high school football playoffs. Stay with us. That's next. Well, it's Friday night, which means it's time to talk some football with sports director Harrison Beebe, who's joining us live now from his car. Hey, Harrison.
That's right, Maya. It's a little cold for me, so I'm going to ride it out in the car until the game gets going.
Smart.
They're about to do the pregame festivities, and we all know sometimes I get caught in the middle of the national anthem. So, yeah, I figured I'd hang out here in the parking lot for a few minutes until we kick off here in Reed City, Boyne City, a battle of the cities here in Division 6. The winner moving on to the state semifinals next week. Reed City's been in the semifinals the past 2 years, so they're well at home in this time of year as far as a late postseason run, but they've been knocking on the door. They haven't made that finals yet, and I believe they made a state semifinals back in 2017, 2018. So they've had a lot of teams get to the Final Four, but haven't been able to make it to Ford Field. Could this be the year? They don't have to go through Kingsley. That's kind of been a tough opponent for them the last few years. Kingsley's now out thanks to a Boyne City win a week ago. But the other game going on tonight, Petoskey, undefeated Petoskey, is downstate in DeWitt. The DeWitt Panthers, a very powerful opponent in Division 3. That's not going to be an easy matchup for Petoskey, but we'll see. They are undefeated for a reason. They've got a lot of talented players. So those are our 2 games going on tonight.
And you will have highlights of those tonight at 11.
Mm-hmm.
What else is happening for sports at 11?
Well, so tomorrow we've got 2 8-player state semifinals. Pickford and Inland Lakes, that's the other signature matchup that a lot of people have been looking forward to. Both those teams undefeated, and it's a rematch of the semifinals from a year ago that Inland Lakes won. Pickford is hosting again, though, and they seem to have another strong team, so that's an interesting one. Danny Zivian's going to be going to that game tomorrow. And our friends from Winnetka, the football program, the Portagers, are traveling far west in the UP to take on Crystal Falls Forest Park. So the winners of those 2 games would advance to the Superior Dome for the 8-player finals the following week.
Awesome. Some very exciting matchups this weekend. Harrison, thanks so much for joining us. And like he said, he'll have highlights of those games tonight at 11 o'clock. That'll do it for sports, but stay with us. We'll be right back and we'll check out the question of the day and some live results next.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Our question of the day today is who should have the final say when it comes to what books are on the shelves at public libraries? You can see the live results on your screen right now. I do want to read some comments on our Facebook page. So Rhonda says the library is run off public funds. The public should have some input on what they want to see or they don't want to see. Ashley says, I think all books should be on the shelves. If you don't want to read them, then don't rent it. Laura kind of agreeing with that, saying all books belong in libraries. We each should have the right to choose what we read. So thanks so much for leaving your comments and voting on our question of the day and for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted. We really appreciate it, and we hope you have a great weekend. Take care, everyone.